So yeah, I mean, every person who's wanting to come for detox, especially for opiates, that's the worst nightmare. They're going to be in a town that they don't know, and they're placing their hands in somebody that they haven't really met, and what they're going to hope that like this person's going to care for them properly, and that there's going to be sufficient opiates to stabilize them upon arrival, because you can't bring, you know, dope down with you, or or or, or pills. And what we've learned is by establishing a relationship of like, look, we're not going to take anything away from you without replacing it with something different or better. And in preparation for the treatment, it's in our best interest that people know that they're going to be well cared for, because in that way they're not going to be tempted to squirrel in any outside opiates, which they could self-administer during the treatment and easily like hurt themselves or overdose and die. I mean, we can always Narcan somebody, but if they do it in the middle of the night when sleeping or something, we're not going to know. So our approach has always been like, we're not here to search you and shake you down upon arrival. This is not a treatment rehabilitation center. This is a free will Ibogaine therapy center, and so there's a certain level of responsibility that we're trusting that the person coming has a true intent to want to end their relationship to whatever drug or behavior that they're coming for, and that they're going to have a sense of confidence that they're not going to be left hanging. And everybody's got a detox trauma if they've ever been using opiates for any length of time. And so, that thing's waiting right on the backside, and so people really want to know that while they're with us, that they're not going to get left hanging out. And either we're going to give them morphine or oxycontin or something like that to stabilize them according to their tolerance at that moment. We don't try to change somebody's tolerance. That's not what we're about. And that the other, of course, is taking the Ibogaine, and that resolves the problem altogether. So regardless of what somebody's tolerance is at, the Ibogaine will meet it. And I think we went into some discussion too about how to administer Ibogaine, especially with high tolerance, like with the fentanyl and methadone and stuff like that, where they have these high tolerances. And in the old days, we do it overnight. Like we do the whole treatment. Well, sometimes they go on for days, and we drop them from 100 to 0, 100% dependent to 0. What we've learned is that we can actually take 50% and restabilize and allow them time to sleep and rehydrate and resupplement and new electrolytes, and kind of get their feet back under them. And then we go in and we take another dip out of it. We can bring people down off of a tolerance, so that when they take that last step to 0, they're not raw like a baby from no endorphins, like literally like the wind hurts. And without the endorphins, you can't sleep, right? And so then you go into this sleepless, you're tired but you can't sleep syndrome. And that can just be brutal. And there's people that have gotten through the treatment and everything, and they just can't get through that part. But let's get back to the safety and Ibogaine in general. And every clinic should have a crash cart in case of a person has a heart attack, whatever, not from the Ibogaine, but just in general medical facility, right? You have to have the equipment and oxygen and EKG machine and these kind of things, and the defibrillator to maintain somebody's well-being while they're in your care, regardless if they're taking Ibogaine or not. So that's a standard. And then also to have medications like Narcan or any of these other medications necessary to help somebody go through a treatment comfortably. And then if there is a a reaction or something like that, that you have something to address it with. If their blood pressure or their heart rate goes down, we don't see that kind of problem because the screening prior to them coming down. If we see any markers in their EKG or their blood work or whatever, or liver function, if they can't bring it up to a standard of quality or whatever, where the numbers are um, achievable for somebody basically being healthy, to go through a very difficult, long process. Both the Ibogaine is very long, and then if you're going through detox also. So there's a very, very period of vulnerability that you have to maintain somebody's well-being during that time. And so that's where this like trust and people being cared for and looked after and supported and helped to build a new biome in their gut, and all of these things have to be addressed. That's what our job as providers is. Our job as providers isn't just to give somebody Ibogaine. Our job is to prepare them, to administer to them, and to care for them and help support them afterwards, so that they can get to a place, which happens relatively quickly, that they don't have cravings, that they're starting to sleep again, that there is no withdrawals going on, and they can actually make a decision without any pull from the drugs or from the behavior, if it's porn or something like that, that they can actually have a clear mind to make a decision what direction they would like their life to go in. And there's some inspiration that comes out of the Ibogaine, just as in a general, uh, way, that the noribogaine metabolite, which stays with you a couple months, has a tremendous amount of inspiration and creativity and intuition that arrives as a result of getting these substances out of the body, or removing the trauma that's embedded in the cells of our memory, because it's in our body, it's not just our brain. And when these things are when that when those things are addressed, and there is a level of discharge of these energies, people get to think for the first time and be present in their body, which is a wonderful experience. I know it was for me. I don't think I'd ever been in my body prior to that. And so this is what our goal, this is what our job is to help to provide that set of circumstances for people to make those decisions. But this idea that Ibogaine is not safe is wrong, because Ibogaine on its own is not dangerous. If a healthy person takes Ibogaine, there's very, very minimal risk unless they have some kind of pre-existing health condition. Um, you know, when we start dealing with drug dependency, then we start, having to deal with pharmaceutical medications for psychological conditions. All of that has to be out of the body prior to treatment. The Ibogaine has no tolerance towards drugs, really. It's like it's kind of a dominating spirit. It wants to have its time with you where there isn't anything else on board. It tolerates benzodiazepines for some reason, which is something that has to be like cared for and maintained through the treatment. You can't do benzodiazepine detox rapidly. It can have really negative side effects like seizures. And the other one is that Ibogaine and opiates are actually very similar in their character. They're onophrenic, or dream creators. And so the Ibogaine is basically allowing for the unconscious and subconscious to be online while you're awake. So it's like it's not a psychedelic. It's an onophrenic or a onophrenic, which is a dream creator. And opiates, to some degree, are actually the same. Like that's what the whole nod thing is, and you're in like this dream world. So in a way, they're synergetically similar, and they for some reason don't have any beef with each other. And so it makes it helpful to be able to use this medicine for treatment, like for opiate dependency. With these synthetics that are coming out, the fentanyl and the isonitazine, which was one of our newest synthetic designer drug. It's not even in the RX yet. It's just we found it under designer drug. So these things are being produced and made all over the world now in different qualities of manufacturing. I know the things coming out of the Netherlands is some good laboratories and some good support for this kind of quality medicine. That's why a lot of people are going to ketamine, because they're afraid to go into the fentanyl world. And with the fentanyl comes other contaminants like 4 different benzos, or xylazine for that matter, and that trink. And so, the cleaner the compound, the better. But we always switch people to an opiate, like morphine or oxycontin or something, and take those other ones out of the way. And we have ways to achieve that level of tolerance. Same with methadone. You want to achieve a tolerance equal to that, so that people are comfortable. Um, you know that's a little hurdle right in the beginning, but people stabilize pretty quickly. And with the potentiators like agmatine, and you can use Ibogaine as a potentiator to help achieve wherever their tolerance is at. Uh, it seems to be like the most humane way to prepare somebody and allow for those other synthetics to get out of the way, so that when you do introduce Ibogaine, it can go right to the receptors. And what it appears to do is it's repolarizing energetically the receptor from, let's say, from a negative to a positive charge. Um, there's no real other way to explain it. It's not helping to produce enzymes and proteins to return this opiate receptor back to its natural state. Whatever it's doing it instantly. And so it's like as soon as you have an opiate receptor open and Ibogaine is going by, it's charging that receptor. And then once that receptor repolarizes, it's not dependent. And that's why we can do these stages of treatment, because even if we reintroduce opiates in between the sessions, which has to be done really carefully, um, but it's comfortable. And people are amazed at how effective the opiates will be in restabilizing. And then over a 24-hour period, the tolerance raises up a little bit. But this is how you do this safely. Is you're able to titrate people down off of these intensely high tolerances, and be able to allow them time in between to rest, recuperate, rejuvenate, resupplement, rehydrate, and then be able to go back in and do some more work. And so this is what we've been doing over the last year, is really expanding our learning and education on doing these stage detoxes in different stages. And as a result, the outcomes are people aren't going 7 to 10 days where they only sleep an hour or two and they're tired. And that was the main complaint. That was the biggest complaint. That and people getting stomach bugs, because the Ibogaine destroys the flora. And here in Mexico, if you go out and buy tacos on like day 3, um, you're susceptible to bacterias. And it's really uncomfortable to go through a whole detox, and then you end up on the toilet and have to go through the thing you were trying to avoid going through by taking Ibogaine. So, point being is when it comes to safety and this idea that Ibogaine's not safe, if you maintain people's electrolytes, which carries the electrical conduction to the heart, you're not going to have any cardiac issues. If they've got a clean EKG, and they don't have any previous damage or blockages of electrical conduction to the heart, it's fine. If they've not had a history of clogged arteries or cardiac interventions, like I won't give people Ibogaine that have stents, or have had bypasses or anything like that. It's just, unfortunately, Ibogaine is not going to be able to reach everybody. But generally, people, if they've got clean blood work and they've got a good EKG, and we can always recheck it at any moment here. We have monitors that are Bluetooth monitors that we can have on their body, so we can monitor them during the session on our computers. So I'm trying to avoid the wires thing and all that hookup thing. It's kind of distracting, and I don't know, kind of takes everything out of context. We're a holistic style setting. It's basically building a minor hospital in a home setting. And we like to only work with 3 people at a time, at the most, normally 2. And it just is an ideal amount of energy and staff on the floor and people in the home so that people can have as much time with the medicine. Who's the actual therapist? I'm not a therapist. The medicine is the therapist. I just create the environment for them to have that experience. So as far as Ibogaine and its safety, if you clear your medical screening, you're not taking any other medications, you transitioned off of whatever synthetic onto a natural opiate, like morphine or oxycontin, uh, chances are, you've been supplemented, you've been prepared, you've moved bowels, whatever you came with is out of your body, and what you have is what we've been providing for you. And we have a list of anything that's gone into your body. The chances for anything like happening, like bad or whatever, just don't happen. It's like this is a very human-friendly compound who really wants to help people and has just stated it himself. It's like, I'm here to help you. And so we just have a responsibility to provide those elements for people. So thank you. Again, this awakeninginthe dream.com, San Miguel de Allende, Mexico.